Shalom, shalom, everyone. First and foremost, giving all honor and all glory to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Yehovah is his name. And unto him and him alone do we give glory. I'd like to give thanks to this great King for our lives, food, clothing, and shelter.
Sorry, I don't know that.
Giving glory to the Most High God for knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, food, clothing, and shelter. Giving thanks to the Most High God for everything that he does for us in our lives. He continues to do for us. Our everyday struggles and the things that he does for the people in our families, for our children, household, for everyone. We thank the Creator of heaven and earth for all things and everything. I say hallelujah, and I bless the name of this great King for knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. I bless the name of this great King for everything that he has done for me in my life and that he continues to do. And even throughout all the struggles, that the Most High God is still there, and that the Most High God continues to bless us even through the ups and downs. Shabbat Shalom to Mad Max Dunn, Avi, and my sister Yamima. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom to you all. May God bless you all. You 1 second here. As I'm trying to find something over here. Give me 1 second. Trying to get to the YouTube control room. Shalom, shalom to everybody on YouTube. I know the sun has not gone down for some people further south and going west, so this is a tricky part of the year. That's why I've been playing a lot of videos and kind of been doing that. I did the video tribute from everyone's video that they sent to me in memory of our great teacher Modeh Mishael, and it's up on my Uzi Alewi channel for those of you that want to watch it. As people have all these things to say about Modeh and all the influences and all the things that he's done for them. So it's a great video, I think, at least, because you get, not because I edited it, but just because we get to see everyone's perspective and how they felt about the great man. He'll be dearly missed. Yesterday was the funeral. I don't know what his family is going to do with it was recorded, but I don't know what his family is going to do with it. If they're going to share it with everyone, or it's going to just be something that the family keeps. But I did record it yesterday. Well, I didn't. My children went because I couldn't get off of work, but went to the repast. So one of the memories that I have is also something that Modeh told me he told me a few weeks back. In fact, the last time that he came to D.C.B, maybe last month, 2 months ago, I can't remember clearly, but he told me that he listened to my Shabbat night talk, and that remember how it made me feel. It made me feel like, wow, somebody who I have learned from is now listening to me. So that felt good, in so many different ways. And the Modeh will definitely be missed, and we thank the Most High God for his life. But tonight, we're gonna learn some. See right here. We're going to learn some Torah. We're going to go over some Torah. And this is basically for like new people, right? Somebody that's new. These are laws that you should know as a new person coming into this way of life freshly. Somebody who just finding out what's going on within this way of life. And I just want to share this with everyone and make everyone aware of certain things that you might want to know. This lesson is really like for newcomers, new people. It would also be good for people who have knowledge of self. Shabbat Shalom, Daryl Morgan, Laverne Anaya Bab. Shabbat Shalom, my sister. So this is for a newcomer. This is for somebody who's fairly new, but it's also for those who want to refresh their memory. So what we have here, what you need to know as an Israelite. Precepts that a new person coming into this way of life needs to know. Right? So what is that? Whenever we come into knowledge of self. Now this, I'm not going to go through everything. This is a fresh slideshow that I created. But I just wanted to go through some basic knowledge that we should know and we should do as Israelites. There are certain precepts and concepts that us as Israelites should know and follow and should live by. There's certain levels of understanding that we must know, that we must follow and live by. Tonight I'm going to go through just some of the simplest laws so that we have an understanding of it as an Israelite and all of the things that we're supposed to do and walking in this way of life and following the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High, the creator of heaven and earth. So I'm not going to go through everything tonight. I just have a slideshow of about 5 slides, and I want to go through that thoroughly. And then as I go on, I'm going to add to the slideshow so that we can have a basis or a foundation of things that we must know as Israelites to do. All right. So for the people on Facebook Live, on YouTube, if you want to go there, you could watch the slideshow as I'm doing it. But it's really just precepts from the Tanakh, so it's nothing exciting. It's just, I have all the precepts in the slideshow for everybody to read along. If you don't want to, open up the book and read in the book, you can read along on the monitor and on the screen. So what you need to know as an Israelite, what do you need to know? There's certain rules and regulations as an Israelite that we need to know. Now, rules and regulations are not made by man. Rules and regulations come from Yah. We often create bylaws in order to govern certain situations in whichever places that we're in worshiping. But bylaws cannot supersede the laws of the creator of heaven and earth. The laws of the Most High God are greatest amongst anything. So you can't create a bylaw that is going to supersede the word of God. And sometimes as Israelites, we fall victim to that. But we have to understand and know that we cannot create bylaws that are going to be greater than the laws of the Creator. So we have to be careful with bylaws. God already has law, statutes, and commandments, and we could formulate everything from what He already has given us. Sometimes we try to create certain scenarios and we try to do certain things, but that's not what the Most High God asked of us. It's like the 2 sons of Aaron, right? Who offered up the strange fire. God didn't ask for that. So there's certain things God didn't ask us for. He didn't ask us for extra. He didn't ask us for any of those things. He just wanted us to keep His law, statutes, and commandments, to walk in a path of righteousness, to do all the things that He commanded of us to do in righteousness, and to keep the things that we were supposed to keep. So there you have it. We must keep the laws of the Creator. So hopefully everybody could see me. See that I'm having some All right. My Facebook. So on Facebook Live has been ended. So let me try to restart that. I hope that I'm still here on YouTube. There's always something. This is crazy. This is the crazy thing. There's always something. Unbelievable. There's always something. Give me a second here as I restart my Facebook Live. Know what's going on there. So to my people on Facebook, I hope I'm still there. To YouTube, I mean, I hope I'm still there. So now let me see here. All right, so something is going on with Facebook, so I'm not even gonna fool around with it. So I'll just concentrate on YouTube, as I got everybody on YouTube. I hope if everybody on YouTube is getting a clear view, just give me a one in the room. If you're getting a clear view, just give me a one. Tonight's lesson is going to be brief, to the point, and just something to keep all of you in tune with the day and understand all of the things that the Most High God has in store for us. So what you need to know as an Israelite, precepts that a new person coming into this way of life needs to know, right? So you come into this way of life, you're new. These are things that you need to know. Now, I'm not covering everything. Like I said earlier, I'm not covering everything. So I'm going through some basic precepts. So let's go to slide 2. Let's see what slide 2 is showing. And let me find slide 2. All right, slide 2. It reads, the Shabbat day. The Shabbat day. What is the Shabbat day? The Shabbat day is the day of rest, right? It's a day of rest. It's the 7th day of the week. And it's the day, as we see, it started this evening at sundown into the night season. And it speaks about, and it has precepts with it. So in the beginning, where God created the heavens and the earth, and everything was created, this is what the Most High God said afterwards. Genesis chapter 2, verses 1 through 3. And the heaven and the earth were finished, and all the hosts of them. So, like I said, God created everything, the heaven and the earth. Everything in the heavens and everything under the earth. Animals, the sun, moon, and stars. Everything was created in 6 days. And verse 2 says, and on the 7th day God finished his work which he had made, and he rested on the 7th day from all his work which he had made. So it says here, and he rested. That's a mistranslation. God doesn't need rest. The word that should be translated is, and God ceased, right? He stopped. He just made a stop from creation. Not that God couldn't continue to create, but God was leaving us an example as mankind as to why he stopped. And we want to read that in the next verse it says, and God blessed the seventh day and hallowed it, because that in it he rested from all his work which God in creating had made. So God in creating the seventh day, he rested, right? Or he ceased, he stopped. And he blessed the seventh day. And that's why I always say, if we keep the Sabbath day in its precept and in the way that the Most High God commanded us to keep it, then we will get a blessing within the day, because the day itself is blessed. You get what I'm saying? So right there, and God blessed the seventh day and hallowed it, because that in it he rested from all his work which God in creating had made. So God blessed the seventh day, he hallowed it, he sanctified it, he set it aside. The Sabbath day is not like any other day. It stands alone. So now we go to Exodus chapter 20, verse 7 through 10, and it reads, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. So remember this day to keep it holy, to keep it sanctified, to keep it separated. Is not like the rest of the other days. 6 days should thou labor and do all thy work. So God told us in 6 days that we could do all the work that we need to do. We could work 6 days out of the week. We could do any type of labor that we want to do for gain, take care of our families, whatever it might be, to buy what you want to buy. But the Most High God told us to remember the Shabbat day, to keep it holy. You cannot treat the Shabbat day like every other day of the week. It should be separate. But the seventh day is a Shabbat unto Yehovah thy God. In it thou shalt not do any manner of work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, nor thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days Jehovah made heaven and earth, the sea and all that in the midst, and rested on the seventh day. Wherefore Jehovah blessed the Shabbat day and hallowed it. So wherefore Jehovah blessed the Shabbat day and he hallowed it. Right? So once again, the Shabbat day, we see where the Shabbat day is blessed. So now, what we see here is that there is a continuation in the thought of what the Shabbat day is, right? The Shabbat day is, from the example that we got from the beginning, it says is a day that we stop, we cease. Stop and cease from what? From doing work. Right? Because the Most High God wanted us to stop, just like how he stopped on the seventh day. Right? So the emphasis of the Shabbat day is for us to stop from doing work, for us to cease from doing work, from doing secular work, because we understand as we go down in the line, the priests had certain jobs that they did on the Shabbat, but that was the order that was set aside by the Most High. But any work for gain, the Most High God wants us to stop and consider and not to do it, because that is the Shabbat day that he had hallowed and that he had blessed. Those are the things that we have to look into. Those are the things that we have to understand, right? That the Shabbat day is holy, that we cannot do any manner of work, us, nor our sons, nor our daughters. If we have people working around the house, they have to stop on the Shabbat day. If you have contractors working in your house, right, they have to stop by Friday, Sunday. And they cannot resume work until Sunday. This is all part of the Shabbat day. They cannot work on your home. You can't have someone doing work for you at your home on the Shabbat day, right? Causing someone else to work. That's why when we look at the manservant, the maidservant, they might not necessarily be your manservant and your maidservant, but they are hired by you. So any business transaction on the Shabbat day will be eliminated. You understand what I'm saying? Because you can't pay anyone on the Shabbat day to do a service for you. So these are things that we need to know. You can't have someone painting your house. You can't have somebody wash your car. These are all manners of work. Secular activities that entail work. You understand what I'm saying? These things we cannot do. It doesn't mean that on the Shabbat day we have to be like hermits sitting and not saying anything. It does not mean that. But what the exclusion that we see here is work. And what the Most High God ceased from doing was working. Right? Further down, when we look in the book, it speaks about cooking and doing all those things, that we cannot do that on the Shabbat day. It said, prepare that which you, and the incident when the Most High God gave us the manhu, or the manna, he told us to prepare and to do certain things before the Shabbat day come in. He told us to gather in twice as many on the 6th day. On the other days, he told us that if you gather more than you need to, that in the morning, and you try to leave it over till the morning, that it will be rotten. But for the 6th day, he told us to gather twice as many, and on the 7th day, it wouldn't be rotten. So what we see is that the Most High God wants us to prepare everything before the Shabbat day. He wants us to cook. He wants us to have everything prepared before the Shabbat day, because this is not a day that we're going to work. This is not a day where we're going to cook food and be slaving over the stove. Everybody rests. Your wife, you, everyone rests. The children, everyone has to rest on this day. This is the day that the Most High God has given us, and we must rest on that day. It says, but the 7th day is a Shabbat unto Yahweh thy God. In it thou shalt not do any manner of work. Thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, nor thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gate. So if you got an animal, like in those days, people plowed with oxen, with mules, you got to take that off of them on that day. And let them just eat and rest, and let them recuperate. For in 6 days Jehovah made heaven and earth, the sea and all that in them is, and rested on the 7th day. Wherefore Jehovah blessed the 7th, the Shabbat day, and he hallowed it. So the Shabbat day is hallowed. Right? We understand that. If you understand that, please give me a 1 in the room if that was simple enough. If you got any questions on what is being brought, please leave your questions, all right? All right. People say only the title is visible. Can be. Are y'all seeing the slideshow? Are y'all seeing the PowerPoint? Is everybody seeing the PowerPoint? I'm not sure what's going on. Is everybody getting a clear stream? Is everybody seeing the PowerPoint clearly? Yes. Okay, great. Here we go. Slide number 3. How we eat as Israelites, very important. The reason why I'm saying this is because as Israelites, we've gotten into the custom of eating from anywhere. I'm sorry that I have to say that. We have to be very careful as to the places of where we eat or where we consume our food. Our foods. We cannot eat food from every Joe that we see. We cannot do that. You can't go to the corner store. Here in New York City, you got what we call bodegas. Places where, corner stores basically. In some of your towns, that might be like the 7-Eleven, whatever it might be. That might be your corner store. In New York City, we have bodegas, right? These bodegas basically are places where we go, get a juice, get a whatever. Like if you go to 7-Eleven or Wawa or whatever the name of the place is in your town. So you get a sandwich, you get some pizza from the 7-Eleven window in the oven that they have up there. You get some chicken from up there, burritos, whatever it might be. Your safest bet is, if you don't have an adequate place to eat from, is to eat from home, because you have to be very careful as to what people are feeding you. You can't go to Red Lobsters and eat and think it's fine. That's a totally unclean place. You go to Red Lobsters, they sell shrimps, lobsters in there. But you're saying you're going to go get the steak. You don't know the cross-contamination that's been happening in the back. you go to a place like Olive Garden, or you go to places like Sonic or McDonald's or Popeyes or Burger King or all these fast food joints that sell ham, pork, that do all these things, and you eat out of them. You cannot eat out of these places. We got to start to come and eat from our own cooking. And now you might be fortunate enough to live in a place that has some vegetarian food. Or you might be fortunate enough to live in a place where you go to a place where they don't serve these unclean foods that people eat, right? Then that's a blessing. But if you live in a town where you don't have this luxury, then you should really consider eating at home and preparing at home, because we can't bend the law and make it seem good for us. You understand what I'm saying? This is one thing that my teachers taught me, especially Chief Elazar, may the Most High God be with him, that he always taught us about the strictness of how we're supposed to eat and how we're supposed to carry ourselves, right? How we're supposed to eat and how we're supposed to carry ourselves. So, as we see here, how we eat as Israelites. Genesis chapter 9, verse 3 through 4. So this is right after Noah came out the ark. Now you have to remember that Noah, prior to the ark, they were supposedly vegetarian. I don't know what people were doing at that time, but they were supposed to be vegetarian. We often say, they were all vegetarian. I don't know. People might have started eating meat before that. You know what I'm saying? And just jumping the gun. But we know that before that, God gave man every tree bearing fruit with the seed in it, right? Which is important. It has to have the seed in it. The fruits that you eat have to have the seed in it, right? Long as you can find a seed, you can find 2 seeds, you're good. If it doesn't have any seeds, then it's no good. That's first off the bat. Second thing is, he gave us the herb yielding seed, right? And all the things in it. So he gave us that as food when he created man at the beginning. But then after we come out the ark, Most High God tells us that we could indulge in eating flesh, but only clean flesh. So now Noah knew the difference between clean and unclean animals, because remember, when the animals were coming to the ark, they were coming 7 and 7s of the clean and 2 and 2 of the unclean. All right? Why? Because most unclean animals create litters. Most clean animals create only one, whatever it might be at a time. So it says here, every moving thing that liveth shall be for food for you. This is right after coming off the ark. As the green herb have I given you all. Only flesh with the life thereof, which is the blood thereof, shall ye not eat. So as Israelites, we got to go through a process. If we're eating red meat, has a lot of blood in it, you have to go through a process of soaking the meat to let some of that blood come out. So now, a lot of times we used to, people put salt in the water to draw out the blood from the flesh. So what happens is you have to be careful as to how much salt you put there, because what happens is that salt ends up getting into the meat, and then when you go cook, you season the meat again, so forth and so on. What I have seen through the years, if you put some water, some fresh water, without salt, that the blood still comes out, right? And if you into eating red meat, right? So you got to make sure you get the blood out. We're not people that eat blood. There are certain traditions from people that come from the Caribbean and that know certain places that they eat this thing called blood pudding. So basically, what blood pudding is they take the intestines of, well, it's made out of pig's blood, and as we get along further along, we're going to see that we cannot eat the pig anyway, or anything that comes from him. So, or the swine, or anything that comes from this is the same animal. So, but people ate blood. I'm talking about blood. They used to season it, put peppers and all type, make it coagulate, put it in the pig intestines, and then fry it and serve it as a meal. If the blood comes from goat, if the blood comes from oxen, if the blood comes from a cow, and you do the same thing, we cannot eat any animal, any clean animal's blood. These were Canaanite traditions, that they drink blood in some of their sacrifices and some of their offerings that they did. The Most High God saw that that we were a people that follow, right? So later in history, when we read Leviticus chapter 7, we're going to read it later, as the Most High God is preparing us to go into the land of Israel, he's also reiterating these laws to us as to not to pick up the traditions and the ways of the people who live in the land. So these things are very clear. These things we have to understand. As we are, if you are new as an Israelite and you just gain an understanding of these things, these are things that you have to know. These are essential things that you have to know in order to grow and become a better person, doing law, keeping scriptures, doing the commandments of the Creator of heaven and earth, and having them, and having the Most High God bless you and doing what you do, right? So we have to be very careful when we do these things. So is everybody with me? I hope I'm making sense to everyone out there. I want everybody to gain understanding of what is it that I'm doing, because I'm trying to bring this for all of you. People said black pudding. A lot of things going on here, all right. Not clean. Mordina, it is a command to work 6 days. All lazy, unproductive people are breaking the law, not rest, but to cease from secular activities. Shabbat is a special day for praise and honoring Yah. Hallelujah. Shabbat Shalom Ubrakat, unclean. Nowadays they cut unclean meat and clean together. Meats that are in the stores are not always clean meat. High blood pressure, be careful with salt. Fat is still in the meat. Black pudding. It's called black pudding. Baked cow blood and intestine. Milk is unclean also. Marcella. Lemon, lime, and vinegar remove blood. All diseases are in the blood. So those are the things that we need to know and that we need to understand. So Leviticus chapter 7, verse 22 through verse 27. And Yahweh spoke unto Moses, saying, so this is speaking about the offerings. The priests are giving up their offerings and all the things that they're doing before the Most High God. You know, the certain things that they get from the children of Israel and what they offer up to the Creator. And Yahweh spoke unto Moses, saying, speak unto the children of Israel, saying, ye shall eat no fat of ox or sheep or of goat. So God is being very specific that we cannot eat the fat of ox, sheep, or goat. Also, the birds that we eat. If we eat a chicken, if you eat turkey, our tradition was always to remove the skin. My teachers taught me, or my teacher taught me that the skin of the fowl is fat, right? Like the skin of the fowl is fat, and when you go to the doctor, they will tell you that the skin of these birds is cholesterol. You know what I'm saying? And you should remove it. So I've always gotten into the tradition of removing. I know some people fry their chickens with the skin. They say it holds better, whatever it is. We've always, in the congregations that I've been in, we've always removed the chicken skin. It's a healthier way of eating. And if you eat the skin, you might be eating fat. I'm just saying. You know what I'm saying? So these are the things that we need to know and understand. try to remove that skin. It's a healthier way of eating, and it's better for you. Verse 24. And the fat of that which dieth of itself, and the fat of that which is torn of beasts, may be used for any other service, but ye shall in no wise eat of it. It could be used for any other type of service. Now, I don't know. I can't really explain what else they might have used it for. Maybe they used the fat to oil certain things down. Like basically, like if you have thank you, son. If you have things that, you know, like lubrication for some type of machinery or something like that, that's what I could think. They melt it and then they put it in that, because they can't eat a beast that dies of itself, right? You can't eat fat, right? And you can you know, basically you can't eat fat. You can't eat a beast that dies of itself or that is torn by beasts. So what I would think of is like for lubrication for a piece of machine. Like God is telling us we could use the fat for that, but to consume it, we cannot do it, right? So he already told us not to eat the blood, and now he's telling us not to eat the fat. It says, for whosoever eateth the fat of the beast, of which man present an offering made by fire unto Jehovah, even the soul that eateth it shall be cut off from his people. So if you're offering up this sacrifice to the Creator and you eat whatever part of it, the Most High God said, give him the fat, right? It's a sweet aroma before him. But if we eat it, then we're violating it, and it's like we're stealing from the Creator. And ye shall eat no manner of blood, whether it be a fowl or a beast, in any of your dwellings. In any of your dwellings, you can't eat any blood of fowl or beast. Wherever we at. That means in America, we follow the same rules. In all your dwellings, we gotta go through a process with the meats that we eat, with the foods that we eat, so that we don't be in violation of God's laws. We have to understand that. Whosoever it be that eateth any blood, that soul shall be cut off from his people. If you eat any blood, you will be cut off from your people. That's why you cannot trust eating from these sloppy joints, going to the, we should not be eating from these sloppy joints, period. Because it could cost us our lives. It's a violation against the law, statutes, and commandments of the Creator of heaven and earth. And also refer to the book of Leviticus chapter 11 to get a full list of the animals that we can and we cannot eat. So that's an assignment for everyone that's new. Leviticus chapter 11. I want you to go there. I want you to research those animals. I always give assignments, but most of y'all never follow them. All right, so yeah, that Back to Eden book is an old book that one of my teachers, Chief Elazar, that was like his Bible for herbs and stuff like that back in the day. He used to read that book, as they said, religiously, and he cured a lot of people from a lot of diseases by reading that book. So definitely, if you follow a strict diet with that, it will definitely help you out. So those are the things that we need to be aware of. It says here, whosoever it be that eateth any blood, that soul shall be cut off from his people. So you don't want to be cut off. So it's better to prepare. So I said follow Leviticus 11, right? So now, that's an assignment for everybody to do. Let me know if you did it. A lot of y'all don't do the assignments that I give y'all. I think only one person before ever did an assignment. Completed an assignment and filled out. And I believe that was Alicia Dye. No one else though. All right, so now, laws on how to deal with each other. Laws on how to deal with each other. This is very important. Because very often we do not know how to deal with each other. You know, when it comes to Torah, we start making up stuff. We start saying certain things that are not Torah. And Torah is very specific and basic. The laws of God are specific, and they detail to us what we shall do and what we shall not do. That's what Torah does. It details to us very plainly what we shall do and what we shall not do. That's what Torah does. But sometimes we want to bend Torah so it could benefit our agenda, and that's not the way you do Torah. That's not the way you do Torah. So now, laws on how to deal with each other. So remember, this is not complete. There's many laws on how to deal with each other, but these are some of the first ones that I want to deal with. Leviticus 19, verses 16 through 18. Thou shalt not go up and down as a talebearer among thy people. Neither shalt thou stand idly by the blood of thy neighbor. I am Yahweh. Thou shalt not go up and down as a talebearer. Stop gossiping. Stop spreading people's business. Stop talking about people. Stop putting people's business in the street. Mind your own business. Stay out of people's homes and breaking up people's homes. Stop talking about what somebody else does in their home. Stop running your mouth. Stop telling things that you shouldn't be telling. Stop telling your friends what's going on in your house, child, because that's being a talebearer also. Stop telling, someone else's business. Stop talking about somebody comes to you and confides in you about what's going on in their relationship, but you go and you tell everybody about their relationship. Stop doing that. If someone confides in you about something that's going on in their lives, that should die with you. Stop bearing tales and stop bringing tales across, because a lot of the times the tale bearers, most of the times, and it's not only talking about if you're telling a lie. Even if you're telling the truth, stop spreading people's business. A lot of the times tale bearers, they, when they tell the story, they leave things out or they straight out lie. Stop being a gossip. Stop doing all those things. Those things never got us anywhere. Stop it. Stop it. That's right. Repeating a story, true or not, is talebearing. Stop it. It's not for you to be running your trap, talking about people's business, getting into people's business. And that's something that us as Israelites, we love to do. Straight up, we love to do. We like to hear the gossip. We like to hear the stuff that makes our ears tingle. And we cannot do that. We have to be true to this way of life. We have to be true to this understanding. And we also have to understand that the Most High God sees everything that we do. And everything that we do, we will be paid for it. So stop it. All right? Verse 17. Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thy heart. Thou shalt surely rebuke thy neighbor and not bear sin because of him. So hold on. Let's go back to verse 16, the middle. Neither shalt thou stand idly by the blood of thy neighbor. I am Yahweh. So, meaning your neighbor deals securely by you. Standing idly by the blood of thy neighbor is like you see something happening to your neighbor and you allow it to happen. Something that could cost him his life. Something that will bring him some bodily harm. And you won't go help him. You and your neighbor are supposed to live and dwell securely with each other. Right? Neighbors are supposed to have each other's backs. Unfortunately, we live in a lot of situations where our neighbors are not law-abiding citizens. And when I mean by law-abiding citizens, I mean Torah doers. So it's a little bit more difficult now, but this is speaking about law. These laws are speaking about a whole community or a whole nation of people that is doing Torah. So it implies to those people. Today, our whole neighbors might be the ones we have beef with because they play loud music during the Shabbat and they do it purposely. You can't get along with them because of the things that they do. But this is specifically speaking about a neighbor or us being in the land and doing Torah and living in this way of life, if you understand what I mean. So we can't stand idly by the blood of our neighbor. We have to get in there and we have to help and we have to defend him, defend her. These are the things that we have to do. Verse 17, thou shalt not hate thy brother in thy heart. Thou shalt surely rebuke thy neighbor and not bear sin because of him. Hate. Hate is a deep word because hate will cause you to do a lot of things. Hate might cause you to take someone's life. Hate causes you to talebear or slander a person. Hate causes you to make disparaging remarks about a person that are not true. Hate will cause you to stand idly by the blood of thy neighbor. Hate will cause you to do many things. And all the things that hate will cause you to do are not anything that are conducive to you doing Torah in the proper way. Because in order to do Torah, you can't hate. You can't hold that resentment in your heart. Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thy heart. That's clean and exact. It doesn't say anything else. It don't say, but if your brother did you wrong, you could hate him until he rectifies the matter. It doesn't say that. It says, thou shalt not hate thy brother in thy heart. Now we can have disagreements. We don't have to see eye to eye with certain things. But once you start holding that hate in your heart, then that's a whole different level. And the Most High God is telling us that we cannot hate each other in our hearts. And we're good for that. As Israelites, we're good for that. For hate, oh boy, some of us are really good for that. Some of us are really good for that. I'm telling you. So that hate, we cannot have that hate in our heart. Says, thou shalt surely rebuke thy neighbor and not bear sin because of him. So if you see that your neighbor did something wrong, right? Don't become hateful towards him. Rebuke him. Rebuke her. And don't bear sin because of him, of her. Why? Because if you see your neighbor doing something wrong, or if you think your neighbor is going astray and doing something that they're not supposed to be doing, you're supposed to pull their coattail. That's what we're here for. To pull each other's coattail and let everybody know, hey, brother, you're doing wrong. Hey, sister, you're doing wrong. That's what a true friend and a true neighbor is. Not people that talebear and talk about you, then smile in your face if you're doing something wrong. Those are not true friends. Those are not true neighbors. So we have to really analyze all the things that we're doing and see whether or not we're in compliance with Yah's Torah. Because that's important. To be in compliance with Yah's Torah, that's important. It says here, thou shalt not take vengeance, nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people, but thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. I am Jehovah. It says, thou shalt not take vengeance. So, being a vigilante, vigilantism is outlawed in Torah. If someone does something that deserves stripes, or someone did you something, even if somebody knocks your tooth out, you just can't run up on them and knock their tooth out. You come before the judges do an investigation, and then after they determine that you knocked this person's tooth out, then your tooth gets knocked out. Everything comes before the judges. Why? Because you don't want a society of anarchy. You don't want there to be anarchists all in the land, survival of the fit. Only the strong survive. You don't want that. So everything has to come to the judges, and they agree upon it. So vengeance is out. Nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people. People, this is very important. We have to understand that we have to follow the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Most High God. I'm going to look up the meaning of grudge so I could give you some synonyms that are associated with this word, grudge. I'm going to look it up right now. Because we need to understand how deep this goes. If somebody's teaching you that bearing a grudge is okay, and God is telling you that it is against his laws, then who you going to follow? It says grudge. A persistent feeling of ill will or resentment resulting from a past insult or injury. Now listen very careful to what a grudge is. A persistent feeling of ill will or resentment resulting from a past insult or injury. If you keep holding that, you are breaking laws, the laws of the Most High God. That's the noun. As a verb, be resentfully unwilling to give, grant, or allow something. So it says here, synonym of grudge as a noun: grievance, resentment, bitterness, rancor, pike, umbrage, dissatisfaction, disgruntlement, bad feelings, hard feelings, ill will, animosity, antipathy, antagonism, enmity, animus. Those are all the synonyms, and they're all bad. So if you're holding grudges against Israelites, right? Because it says against the children of thy people. Thou shalt not take vengeance nor bear grudge against the children of thy people, right? But thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. I am Jehovah. So you must always love your neighbor as yourself. That law doing Israelite, you must always love a man. We have to have a sense of compassion for our neighbors and for our people. These are all laws that are there that we must follow, that we should follow, but we tend to do what we want to do. And that is not God's law. So when you hold in that resentment, ill will, ill feelings, all these things, you are breaking God's law. And if anybody is teaching that, or if you're learning that from anybody, you are also breaking God's law. So we can't follow man. We have to follow the law, statutes, and commandments of the creator of heaven and earth. Holding grudges are wrong. They're dead wrong. Exodus chapter 20, verse 12 through 13. Thou shalt not murder. So, as you can see here, it says thou shalt not murder. When you look at most Christian translations, it tells you thou shalt not kill. But the exact word is murder. Now, you kill to eat. You kill in war. You kill in self-defense. You know, sometimes you got to kill because that's a part of life. Sometimes you kill someone who has done something that deserves capital punishment. So now, thou shalt not murder. Now, murdering is taking someone's life that had done nothing wrong, that had no reason for their lives to be taken. So now we get into different things, you know, even in this country, like when you have an accidental killing, that's called, a lot of times it's like manslaughter, you know, like vehicular homicide, they call it manslaughter. You get charged with manslaughter. And we also see that in the Tanakh where, you know, somebody has an axe and they're working on something, chopping something down, and the axe head flies off and it hits someone in the head and it kills them. Then you must go into the city of refuge and you must stay there until the high priest dies out. Basically, that's like a manslaughter charge, right? You basically doing time in the city of refuge. That's what is equivalent to, but you're not, you know, you don't have boundaries within the city of refuge, right? So those are the things that we also have to be aware of. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Committing adultery is sleeping with someone else's wife. Committing adultery is not if a man has more than one woman, more than one wife. That's not committing adultery. That's a Christian concept of committing adultery. I have to teach the Lord the way it is. I can't sugarcoat it. I can't put any twist on it. Polygyny is not adultery. Adultery is when any of those women that are involved, even in a polygynous relationship, go aside from their husband and sleep with another man. That is adultery. Or a man sleeping with a married woman. That is adultery. So that's what adultery is. Thou shalt not commit that. That is a death penalty before the Creator of heaven and earth. So these are simple laws. We should know this. Coming into this way of life being new, that's what it is. And once you start talking about polygyny, you see the numbers go down. But you got to teach the truth. People don't like when you bring that subject up, but it is what it is. Thou shalt not steal. Don't touch anything that does not belong to you. If it's not yours, don't pick it up. If you find something, sometimes you got to make an announcement for people to know that, hey, we found this, such and such and such. If you could describe it, then you come pick it up. You got a lost and found. Most places have a lost and found. But stealing is taking something physically that's not yours. Strong arm robbery, that's stealing. Breaking into people's houses, that's stealing. You walk past your mother's couch, dresser, and she got $10 up there, and you take $2 without telling her you stole. You go into the kitchen after your parents tell you, don't touch any cookies, don't touch anything else. You go in there when they fall asleep, you take 2 cookies, you take some ices, you take some ice cream, and they told you not to do that. You just stole. Oh, Chief Uzal, you going too far. That's what's if somebody tell you don't touch something and you take it, that is stealing. It does not belong to you. Oh, but that's kind of, yeah, but that's what it is. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. What is bearing false witness? You weren't there. You didn't see it. It was not even true. You're making up a story. You got Israelites that are good for that, making up stories. You got Israelites right now that make up stories on other Israelites that are false about things that Israelites have said and done that can't be proven, but they do it to favor their arguments or to favor the way that they feel. You understand what I'm saying? And they just make up things and they lie. You got Israelites out there that do that. It's not only, you see, this law wasn't for the outsider, it was for us, because these are the things that we were doing. We were conniving. We were liars. We did all types of stuff. You know what I'm saying? So these are the things that we have to be aware of. It says right here, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's. Stop looking at people's stuff and desiring what they have. Work hard and get your own. Get your own wife. Get your own manservant and maidservant. Get your own ox. Get your own car. Stop plotting and scheming, because you see, coveting leads to other things. Then it leads to stealing. It might lead to murder. Because you're looking at someone's stuff. You like it. You want that. So those things will lead you to commit other crimes that will cause you to break the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Creator of heaven and earth. These things we have to be careful of, and we have to be aware of, and we have to have understanding of. We have to be careful. We have to understand and be careful that we do not violate the laws of the Most High God. We have to be careful of that. Says here, let's move on to the next. This is the last slide right here. Worship of false gods. Right? Which is this probably should have been number one. We should have started out with this, but the worship of false gods. These are basic rules and regulations. The first slide says, go back to it, what you need to know as an Israelite. Precepts that a new person coming into this way of life needs to know, right? So back to slide number 5, it says, Exodus chapter 20, verse 2 through 5. Verse 2, I am Yahweh thy God, who brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other gods before me, before him, around the corner, underneath the table, in the book, anywhere. God is alone. Thou shalt have no other gods, with a little g, gods, before me, plural. You shall have no other gods before the Most High God. Period. Why? Because he's a jealous God. Verse 3, thou shalt not make unto thee a graven image, nor any manner of likeness of anything that's in the heaven above, or that's in the earth beneath, or that's in the water under the earth. We just coming out of Egypt. The Egyptians are some of the biggest idol worshippers that there are in the world. They have a God for everything. God is telling us, you're coming out with those traditions from Egypt. You've been Egyptized, or you're Egyptians in mind. Just like a lot of us are American in mind. God said, leave all that junk behind, right? Don't make any graven images and call it God. First thing we did when we got into the wilderness, as soon as Moses went away for some days, they told Aaron to make them gods to bring them back to Egypt. They miss Egypt. That's when a people has been institutionalized. It's the same thing with our people here. We've been institutionalized with Christianity. And so we go into places and we bow down to an image of a man, and we call it God, and that's against the laws of God. I mean, it's plain and simple. It's against the laws of God. No graven images shall we bow down to. No any manner of likeness of anything that's in the heaven above, that's in the earth beneath, or that's in the water under. But Chief Uzal, I don't bow down to no images. So I'm safe. And we're going to get to a part where God speaks about who he is and what he is, right? And how he stands. Because even if you have that graven image in your mind and you giving the credit that belongs to the Creator to another, then you are in violation of bowing down to graven images. The graven image doesn't have to be physical. It could be a mental one. Verse 4, thou shalt not bow down unto them, nor serve them, right? Don't bow down to it or serve it. It could be the physical one, or it could be the mental one that you're praying to every day and every night. For I, Yahweh thy God, am a jealous God. God say he's jealous. And in jealousy, someone could go into rage with jealousy. So you don't want the Most High God to go into a rage. It says, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children, unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me. And this is talking about those that follow in the footsteps of their parents and worshiping false gods. So God is going to punish them and their generation after them for continuing in the falsehood, and show mercy unto the 1,000th generation of them that love me and keep my commandments. And God will show mercy unto us and all of us that continue to worship him and him alone. It's important. I always tell people, no matter how far left you go, just don't worship no gods. Don't worship no other gods. You have a fighting chance at least with the Creator, because our God is a jealous God, and when his wrath comes down upon people, you don't want that wrath of the Creator upon you. Deuteronomy chapter 6, verses 4 through 5. It reads, this is what we know. Shema Yisrael, Yahweh Eloheinu, Yahweh Echad. Hear, O Yisrael, Yahweh our God, Yahweh is one. So this eliminates any other one. The one who sat next to him, the one who sat around him, the one who was supposed to be God manifest as a man on earth. God says, Shema Yisrael, Yahweh Eloheinu, Yahweh Echad. I am one. He don't need help. He didn't need help. He never said that there was someone else there with him ruling. He never said that. He said he stands alone. And thou shalt love Yahweh thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, and with all our might. These are basic laws that we should know as Israelites. Now, there are other ones that you go along, like wearing the statutes and things of that nature. Now, those things come, if you're new, those things come in a little bit more advanced time when you could defend the book. Don't put on statute on yourself if you cannot defend the book. You understand what I'm saying? Do not put on a head wrap upon yourself if you cannot defend the book. You got to be able to defend what you believe and what you know to be true before you put these things on, because you will embarrass yourself and you will also embarrass us. So these are things, these are simple laws that we should know, that we should follow, and that we should be aware of, right? Coveting leads to lying, stealing, murder, cheating. Hebrew gives a clearer definition of certain words. Shabbat Shalom, family. All right, Shabbat Shalom to everybody. So, just a few laws. I felt that was important for us to cover those few laws. And I see we got 82 people in the night. So, don't forget to share this. You might want to share this with someone that's new. You might want to share this with someone that you might know, so that they could be edified and know what we are about. So this is 5 slides. Hopefully by next week I'll add 5 more. There's more laws that we need to cover, more things that we need to know. But these are the simple things that we need to know, the things that help us to get along one with another. Hoping and praying that you've gotten something out of this, and that the creator of heaven and earth will continue to be with us, guide us and protect us. This was a rough week for many of us. I know, I understand. And but one thing that I know for certain, that Moray, and like he told me when I saw him last time he came to D.C.B, that he was listening to my Shabbat night service, and that made me feel so proud, because a teacher of that magnitude listening to me made me feel good. So it definitely made me feel really good to know that one of the people that I sat under to learn Hebrew, he was listening to me. So Moray probably would have been proud of this lesson, because he was a teacher. A lot of us it's Hebrew stood out because to the levels he carried it to, but he was more than just a Hebrew teacher. He taught law. He knew how to interpret law because he knew the language. So it made it easier for him to interpret something which most of us would be having the wrong interpretation of things. I had conversations with him, and he told me about, his convictions. Moray was the type of man who, he was one time I had a conversation with him. He was like, Uza, I had this conversation with, my mother, and they knew that I will not, when there's time for them to get buried, I'm not going into a church. His convictions, the things that he was, his convictions were so strong. You couldn't shake him. You know what I mean? She knows I already love. He told me something like that a long time ago. And I remember those things, that he was so stern with it. And for those of you that don't know, in my Uzia Lewy channel, you could look at the memorial video that I did. For anyone that would like to check it out, I'm going to put the name of the channel, Uzia Lewy. You could go check that channel on YouTube, and that memorial is up there that we did. So, thanking the Creator once again for this day, hoping and praying that the Most High God will continue to be with Gaver Padit and all the Morin Mishael's family, his sons, his daughters, his children, his grandchildren, that the Most High God will continue to strengthen them, guide them and protect them. All the people that love Moray, that was with him, that the Most High God will bless his memory, that the Most High God will bless each and every one of you, and that the Creator of heaven and earth give you good sleep and peace. See you in the AM, 11 a.m. this same channel, this same station. May the Most High God, King of the universe, bless each and every one of you. Shalom, shalom, and everyone have a nice sleep. Shalom Aleichem.